Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, as always, I like to say, call Haloyim Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Wadash. All right, giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And also, Bahashem Rachak Wadash. And also, a hearty salutation to the hopeful Bachayarim, which is elect, Ma'at Arabam Arabai Alap, which is 144,000. Sha'ar which is remnant, and Achad Shalayashim, which is one third. All right. Those are the groups slash numbers. All right. Ultimately, the remnant that the Lord is dealing with, that He cares about, which is what He's going to deliver in these last days. And we are striving to be a part of that number. All right. So, in this lesson, some more prophecy dealing with World War III. And this interview here, you see, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilar, which is very insightful. He's very insightful when it comes to the situation that's going on with Iran and the U.S. and that region. All right, West Asia, as some people call the Middle East. Now, this is all biblical prophecy, and it's unfolding before our very eyes. All right, which indicates to us that we're in the end, man. It's only so much more that, according to prophecy, is ordained to happen before the nukes start going off. Okay, so these tensions and the escalation of this war is pointing in that direction. All right, so just educating on that, or edifying, should I say, on that point. There's a couple points also that is made here in this interview that I want to play, and we'll go from there. All right, edify with some precepts, a couple precepts. So listen up.
Which is um, exponentially increasing the pain upon which the world will feel from this expansion of the conflict. Then, when you have that at risk, that will grow. The U.S. will certainly become more directly involved with naval forces that are in the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean already, in terms of what we could flex there to either keep open or reopen the Strait of Bab el-Mandab. And that's going to bring the U.S. even further into this, which is then potentially going to draw other nations, potentially Egypt, into this when the Suez Canal is threatened in terms of the commerce that passes through that vital passageway. So we're quickly seeing that because of the fronts that are already igniting in Yemen, in Lebanon, and across the Persian Gulf nations, this is becoming a world war.
Yeah. You hear that? He said this is becoming a world war, which we, the prophets, have always known that. All right, we've always known, according to biblical prophecy, to the book of Jeremiah, the least of the flock shall draw them out. All right, and the least of the flock being the small hats, the tribe of Amalek of the nation of Edom, Esau, Edom. Their actions that they are displaying in the so-called Middle East and West Asia is directly affecting the neighboring countries that surround them, which is drawing those nations into this third world war. So everybody's being mustered and gathered together in that region to pretty much fulfill the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. All right. And these political pundits know and can see very clearly that that's what's happening. Okay. So let me fast forward to another point that he makes. All right, give me a couple of seconds. All right, here we go. Oh, actually, let me go another minute forward. All right. Come on now. No, I don't want to play. Well, hold on, give me a second. All right. So like it for this slow ass connection. It's connection. It's connection. Inside joke. All right. In the meantime and in between time, let me do this. All right. Starting here in the first precept. This is Deuteronomy 32 and starting at verse 43. It says, "Rejoice, O ye nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of of his servants, and will render vengeance to his adversaries, and will be merciful unto his land and to his people." All right. So,
Okay, that makes sense. Now, the other question I've got for you is we mentioned how things are escalating.
okay, so the Heavenly Father is going to actually, let me start up. Verse 42, it says, "I will make mine arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain and of the captives from the beginning of revenges upon the enemy. Rejoice, O ye nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants, and will render vengeance to his adversaries, and will be merciful unto his land and to his people." So the Heavenly Father is in the stages of setting it up to pay these nations back for their crimes against the children of Israel. All right. One thing to take into account is that all the bloodshed going on or being shed the world over, in particular by means of war, it's all the Heavenly Father paying these nations back for their crimes against his chosen people. All right, because we've been a people that have been neglected by or neglected of recognition, from these other nations. All right, them recognizing the crimes that have happened on their watch to the children of Israel, yet the children of Israel get no proper justice. Meanwhile, other nations, other heathen nations, that get proper justice via the same avenues that these international governing bodies claim benefit all of mankind. All right. But when the cards are stacked against you, as they are with the children of Israel, this isn't our real, man. We're the chosen people. The kingdom of heaven is promised to us. So therefore, these nations aren't gonna give us a fair shake. Okay. Let me grab my next precept. Revelation 11 and verse 14, it says, "The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly." All right, so World War II is past. Okay, which World War II was from 1939 to 1945, roughly. All right, and that wasn't all that long ago. That was less than 100 years ago. Okay. And we see that we are in the times in which the third world's woe is coming quickly. We're pretty much in it. Okay. Salaki, man, this damn connection is ridiculous. Bear with me.
in. There's like 3 fronts happening in the Middle East. I mean, how bad's the situation getting? Many people thought the war was over a couple of weeks ago. You and myself, but well, adamant it's not. But now we've got major escalation. How bad are things? You've got major escalation in West Asia. You mentioned World War. Obviously, we're seeing strikes in Ukraine right now as we speak as well. So looking at all of it, but more specifically focused on West Asia, what's your thoughts about all of these fronts now escalating in the manner that they are?
Well, we have the known front that is the very obvious front between the United States and Iran. That confrontation in and of itself has a multitude of secondary and tertiary fronts in the Persian Gulf, but then in the greater Levant and the greater region altogether. But we also have 2 very kinetic fronts that are not secondary or tertiary to the primary conflict, but are in and of themselves conflicts that have grown from that are now conflicts of their own. Lebanon, to where now the United States, which is a belligerent in the US-Iran conflict, is now considering backing Lebanon, which is the government of, maybe not necessarily partnered with Israel, but on the same side at the tactical level, operational level, in terms of against Hezbollah. You can then also then draw in Syria to that, which is very likely. So in this offshoot, very real conflict from the primary conflict, you can now draw in the US, Israel, Lebanon, Hezbollah, Iran, and Syria, potentially now Turkey. If Syria gets out of control with that, Turkey's certainly going to seize the opportunity to isolate the north so that doesn't spill over into their country. And then you have this within Yemen, where it's not just Yemen. You have the Yemeni government, you have the Houthis, you have the HTC, you have the STC, all fighting at the tactical and operational level, being backed by Saudi Arabia, being backed by the UAE. Those interests are going to start to bleed into the region.
All right. So like this is a connection tripped out, but as you can see, he mentioned a bunch of nations that have entered conflicts of their own by way of the original conflict between Iran and the US. Okay, he mentioned Lebanon, Turkey, Syria. All right. So on and so forth. So we see that the Lord is getting these nations prepared to battle it out. And he's getting them prepared for the slaughter. Okay. So this is Revelation 16 and 16. It says, and he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. All right. So these nations are being gathered, all right, for Armageddon. So let's look this word Armageddon up. All right. My internet connection is crazy right now, bro. So like, I would look it up, but my service is hella slow for whatever. Hey, well, all them goddamn chemicals Esau spraying in the air. It's supposed to be summertime, and it looked like it's fucking fall. The sun ain't even shining, but it's supposed to be summertime. That's why we need salvation. We need these nations to stop dragging their ass and beat feet to the Middle East, so-called Middle East, and let the nukes fly. All right, so that we can receive the kingdom of heaven, Lord's will. All right, Revelation 19 and 19, it says, and I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. All right. So NATO and the EU, all right, those nations and their allies, is going to be gathered to fight against, Gog, Magog, or Gog from Magog, all right, so-called Russians, and all their allies in the so-called Middle East. All these nations, all these armies is going to be gathered together to fight against each other. And then at the end, Yahweh Shai and the holy host of angels, okay, is going to pull up and, they're going to turn they're fighting from, as it says in the Apocrypha in Second Esdras, they're going to turn from fighting one another and direct their attention toward the holy host and Yahweh Shai, idiotically thinking that they're going to be able to do anything of significance and lose miserably. Okay? That's what's about to happen, man. And the Lord is causing the actions of these armies, these nations leaders, to draw their armies out to, fight in Armageddon, or in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Okay, so this is Zephaniah 3, in verse 8. It says, "Therefore, wait ye upon me, saith the Lord Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations," all right, and, that I may assemble the kingdoms to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger. All right, and what could be more fierce pertaining to the anger of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai than, scorching you with a thermonuclear missile? All right, so not only is the armies in Armageddon, all right, the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which is going to be Saudi Arabia, not only are they going to be scorched with thermonuclear fire, but America as a whole, all right, and the land of Israel as well, is going to be scorched with thermonuclear fire. Okay? It says, "For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy." All right, so certain portions of the earth is going to be hit with nukes, yet the only place that's going to be completely destroyed, uprooted, and left to remain a desert for all eternity is going to be America. All right, so I just wanted to go into that real quick. The actions that these nations' armies is taking is pretty much, everyone is being forced to pick a side. All these nations are being forced to pick a side, and they, all being gathered to the sandbox, aka Saudi Arabia, to catch that fade from Yahweh Shai and the angels ultimately. All right, so Lord willing, this was edifying. Until next time, shalom.